Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss the Gazette magazine for 17 September 2021, your daily guide to UPSC current affairs. Now, the hot selling articles in the market today are the first snapshot on bad banks, very popular topic. We will discuss what bad banks is. The second one is India's rating being downgraded by a German think tank in climate action. And the third one is NCRB, National Crime Record Bureau, releasing its Crime in India 2020 report. This day in history, we have dedicated to Michio Sujimura from Japan. We'll understand what is about her. Featured news of the day, which is on a different video, is on differentiated banking. Now, differentiated banking is a very important concept. Understanding the reason for why India has introduced differentiated banking in India, this is of prime importance. What are their advantages and what are the issues associated with them? This is what we will discuss in the featured news for today. Becomes very relevant from UPSC Mains perspective. Image of the day is on the tunnel, a tunnel which has been dug, and it is India's widest tunnel at Igatpuri in Maharashtra. Terms and concept for the day, we have discussed 4 terms and concept for today. First one is Florence Nightingale Award. The second one is transparent ceramics. The third one is India's growth rate, which has been predicted by UNCTAD, United Nations Organization. And the fourth one is arsenic contamination in Bihar. 3 important editorials for today are, the first one is the withdrawal of USA from Afghanistan and its impacts. So, a very important editorial. The second one is about the governance reforms in the telecom sector. And the third one relates to the children going back to school. So, important issues and how they can be overcome. Case study of today is based on fisheries from Bihar. So, let's start the discussion. The first snapshot and important news for today is on the government announcement of the bad banks. Now, it is a very simple concept, yet people may not understand it. So let me simplify it in next 30 seconds. Now, what happens is that bank ideally is meant to give loans. So banks give loans to people. So this is the amount that it gives loan is bank's asset, right? But when the people who have taken this loan, when they are not able to return back the loan to bank, it becomes a non-performing asset for the bank because bank cannot lend it again. Yes, it is true that while the bank has given them loan, bank accepts collaterals. Banks accept collaterals from these people. So collateral may be in the terms of gold, it may be in terms of some assets, for example, land documents. Those are deposited at the bank, right? In case the people default, bank will be able to sell them. But is that primary job of the bank to sell those assets? No, bank's job is to lend and keep lending and keep making profits. So now these stress assets called as non-performing assets are increasing. Why are they increasing in India? Because after COVID, a lot of people have not been able to return back the money to the banks, and therefore the government has initiated the concept of bad banks. Bad banks are really not bad, they are good. What is the nature of bad bank? Is that bad bank will purchase all these collaterals, non-performing collaterals from the banks, and in return they will give them the money. So banks will continue operation. This is good for the banks, and it will take all the non-performing assets and it will try to monetize them. It will try that they are either sold, they are liquidated, or they somehow or the other the money is again taken back from the people who had lent the money. So this is the concept of bad bank. In bad bank, there are 2 institutions that the government has initiated. The first institution is National Asset Reconstruction Company. So this company is the one which is going to purchase those assets, those non-performing assets from the bank. And after that, India Debt Resolution Company Limited. So these 2 companies, the second company is going to sell it across to other players. It will either sell it across or it will do something so that the money, the finances, they come back. Now, in case they are not able to do this, government is also going to assist in the funding. So government will assist in the funding, and government has declared 31,000 rupees. It will give 31,000 crore rupees to these companies in case they fall short of the required targets. So this is the update. This is the duo. So this National Asset Reconstruction Company Limited and the India Debt Resolution Company Limited, this duo forms the bad bank system in our country. It's a very good step for our country because it is going to release the financial constraints from the bank sector. How? First of all, it will give back the vital capital required. So this is one. Then it will increase the credit flow in the market for the banks. Banks will start to run. Their balance sheet will be again good. Why? Balance sheet is about asset and liabilities. So the assets which are not performing, they will start performing right now. So this is very good for them. It is also good for the whole country. Why? Because the government earlier was recapitalizing the banks. So now it will not recapitalize the banks. It will only send some money in these type of asset reconstruction companies in case required. So very good move by the government, improving governance and economy of the country. Second snapshot of the day is on the new rating system, which has downgraded India's rating in terms of climate action. Now this becomes very important because just in the next month we are going to hold the COP Conference of Parties 26 of UNFCCC, and this is going to be held in Glasgow in UK, and this is where India will be under increased pressure to declare its targets of net zero. India has not declared target for net zero. India has all the time claimed that it is targeting Paris Climate Agreement, and it is trying to ensure that the Paris Climate Deal, whatever India had declared to decrease its emission intensity, India will work on that. But India's downgrading from the almost sufficient category to highly insufficient category in terms of reaching its climate goal, this is going to put India under some pressure so that India increases its target. So all the there are various countries around the world which have declared net zero targets. Some of the countries are eyeing 2060 for net zero. So China 2060, and then we have European Union 2050. This is their target. India will have to declare one. So this is one. India might as well increase its intended nationally determined contributions. What are these? INDC stands for the amount of voluntary reductions. INDC stands for the voluntary reductions that India is going to apply in greenhouse gas emissions, so that temperature of the whole country, the whole world, is not increased by 2 degrees Celsius. Now this organization, this is a German think tank, and this German think tank has said that this climate action tracker, it does not believe in 2-degree rise in temperature. It says that 2 degrees is too much for the whole world. We believe in 1.5 degree rise in temperature because this much is what Earth can sustain. Now, there are 3 important things that India should do. India could increase its nationally determined contributions. Second one is India should update on its net zero emissions. And the third one, India should try and become a 1.5 degree climate compatible country. Because right now it is 2-degree compatible country, and it could actually be the only G20 country to be having 2-degree compatibility, right? So India is ready for 2-degree rise in temperature, and that is how India's economy, society has planned itself. The third snapshot is on the Crime in India 2020 report, right? So this has been released by National Crime Record Bureau. This is a report of how much is the increase or decrease in crime in India in various segments, various sectors, and what is the effect on the people on the country. So let me quickly tell you some of the important facts that it has covered. It says that crime against women has dipped. Now just keep listening to me and I will also analyze some important components. It says crime against SC and ST have increased around 10%, right? It also says that crime against children and senior citizens has declined. Right. Now, let me analyze what is the difference between statistics, covering a statistics and knowing the story behind it. Now, during the times of COVID, do you expect a person to go to police station and file an FIR or report a complaint? No. So the major reason why crimes have decreased is not because India has become a better society than before. The major reason is people right now not going to register their complaints just because we have COVID first wave, second wave, and people are not immune enough, right? So these are the reasons. A very simple example is that of crime against women. Now, United Nations has itself accepted that during these COVID times, there has been an increase in crimes against women. So intimate partner violence, IPV, intimate partner violence, that means the domestic violence that women are facing at homes, they have increased because people are staying at home, people are working from home. This is one. And United Nations has itself recognized the digital violence against females. So earlier, the violence was in the physical form, right? So when physical molestation or hurting the sentiments of a female, but now all this has translated into the gender-based violence on digital media. So United Nations itself has accepted this. I will give you another very good example of how data and how its analysis are actually class apart. Just 2 days back, we discussed a feature news on periodic labor force survey report, right? So periodic labor force survey report says that there has been an increase in employment, increase in self-employment for women in the country, and increase in self-employment category in rural areas, in agriculture. But so is this not a good thing? Self-employment, yes, it is a very good thing. However, the analysis is very simple of it. People did not get employed people did not have jobs. So they started doing some meager jobs, unqualified jobs, underpayment, and it is not even a complete picture. This is a recall period of 1 year. So the government is not even aware if the person is working in weekly levels or not. So the analysis and the fact statistics, they are class apart, they are completely different. So anyhow, the report says that crimes have decreased, and this is what is the summary of it. This day in history we have dedicated to Michio Sujimura. She was a Japanese individual and she's credited with exploring green tea, the concept of green tea. Now, what usually happens is that when we intake food, a lot of oxidation process happens, right? Oxidation process yields free ions in the body, and these free ions, they react with the internal components of the body and skin and muscles, and they also cause aging, that we age because of these kind of physiological activities. I'm talking of catabolic reactions and metabolic reactions. Now, when we intake green tea, what it does is that it increases the amount of antioxidants present in the body. So antioxidant help by ensuring that these free radicals are no more free. They react with them and they ensure that aging process is curtailed. So aging is slow, and that is why people drink green tea. So a date for you. Now, the next article that we discuss, the tunnel, the twin tunnel in India. This is the widest twin tunnel in the country, and we are talking of the Igatpuri twin tunnel. It has been built in a very short period of 2 years, and the best part about it is that it is going to reduce the travel time and the distance between Mumbai and Nagpur. So this is Igatpuri twin tunnel, the widest in India and 4th longest tunnel in the country. This is also the longest tunnel is in the state of Maharashtra. Now, the first term and concept in news is Florence Nightingale Award. This award has been released by the president to 51 midwives and nurses in the country because they have dedicated their service during COVID times and they have helped people. Now, this is where I would like to shortly discuss who was Florence Nightingale. She was a lady from Great Britain, and she was also called as Lady with a Lamp. Now, this lady has had immense contribution in the field of modern medicine and modern nursing. So she was originally from a very, very affluent family in UK, but she was very keenly interested in social service. So she was continuing the social service activity in UK itself. But when Britain went in war with Russia in Crimean region, I'm talking of 1860s. So this is when she was called for to help the war victims. So the soldiers, Britain's soldiers, were thousands in number and they needed help. So she took a team of 50 odd nurses and she started serving them. She is called as Lady with the Lamp because every night she would travel from one place to the other to try to help these soldiers. So Florence Nightingale Award. The second term in news is transparent ceramic. Now, transparent ceramic is a new innovation in our country, and how is it going to help? This is uniquely transparent and it has got certain mechanical properties which are way different from the other transparent material. Now, what it does is that it not only lets the light pass from it, the visible light, it will also let the infrared light also pass through it and detect it. So, this is how in case of certain important issues like thermal imaging, it can help. Now, infrared is the ray which is not visible to us. However, these rays are emitted from the body and they help detection of heat. So in case a person is wearing this type of glass, this can help in war activities when a person realizes that yes, there's another person from where, there's another place from where the heat is getting emitted. And this heat emission can be detected by these transparent ceramics. So that is why they have good utility in war applications, in goggles, in also thermal imaging when we don't want certain rays to come into our eyes. Right? The third term and concept is UNCTAD, a futuristic projection of India's growth. It has projected that India will grow at 7.2% in the next year, and then it will decrease to 6.7% in the following year. This is a very good development, and it has also spoken about the rise in wealth inequalities in our country. Just yesterday, we discussed an important report released by the National Statistical Organization, and it spoke about the inequality in India. So top 10% people in India own as much as 50% wealth, and the lowermost 50% people own as much as only 10% of wealth, right? So assets in physical or financial capacity. So this is an important report that we released, that we spoke of just yesterday. National Statistical Organization report on inequality, yesterday's snapshot. You can look into it. and this is the UNCTAD report speaking about India being a major economy which is going to progress in the coming year. The fourth term in news is the arsenic contamination. Now, arsenic is something that is poisonous to us when we intake it. So this is an important mineral. However, it is not only found in natural capacity but in artificial capacity also through the industrial processes. So when this technology has developed through which we are able to take in the groundwater resources, arsenic contamination has increased. And this is what we have seen in news from Bihar. Now, when we are digging holes to get the water, the groundwater reserves, if we dig a deeper hole, there is more tendency for arsenic to mix in the water and cause pollution. This is also causing not only pollution, but increase in the nervous breakdown of the people and eventually leading to organ failure. So arsenic contamination, the fourth term in news. The first editorial is on the greatest game. This is talking about the Afghanistan situation where Taliban has taken over and America has withdrawn itself. Now, can you tell me, is it going to be America's win when it has moved itself from Afghanistan, or is it going to be Taliban win? What is agreed by the editorial, it says, is that America's movement away is going to be of great political importance, great geostrategic importance for the whole world. And the America has now shifted its base from Central Asia focus to the Indo-Pacific region. Now, US withdrawal, is it good for India or not? This is a very important question, and we have discussed n number of editorials saying that it may not be good for Indian security, but it is net strategic positive for India. Why? Because now America is going to directly take over control against China in the South Pacific China region, East China region, and therefore it is actually good for India, right? So this is what the editorial says. It goes on to say that the terror threats in Afghanistan, they are not very high priority for America itself. The think tank itself says that what is actually terrorizing America is the homegrown white supremacy threat. So this is the first level threat, and Afghanistan-based terrorists, they are only fifth in the hierarchy in terms of threat. American leaders first started with isolationism. So this was carried out by American President Trump, and now the President Biden right now is abandoning those parts of the world which are causing bleeding to America. So this is a good move, and now America's refocus has been very well seen in the establishment of AUKUS. We are talking of Australia, UK and USA deal, right? So this unity is going to work wonders against China and going to help India. They have already started to invest in the Indo-Pacific region, and we can see that is in increase in flow of weapons to Taiwan. We can see that in the kind of investment it is making in the whole ecosystem around China, right? It is also trying to reduce the missile gap. This missile gap was spoken of in the Cold War times when USA was only trailing behind Russia, behind USSR in the number of missiles they had developed. USA also has this Quad group. So these are multiple ways in which we can very well see how USA is trying to counter China in newer ways, right? Now, the editorial says that India is the only Quad member which is not having a moat against the Central Asian region. If there is instability in Central Asian region, India will be one of the first to get affected, and therefore India must seek support from countries like Russia, countries like Iran, right? So if there is Afghanistan, if there is terror threat in Afghanistan, what is the moat? Pakistan is the moat for India, but is Pakistan friendly? Pakistan is not friendly. So for that, India has had retorted previously as well. When we had the Uri attack, we responded back. How? Through surgical strikes. When we had the Balakot, the Pulwama attack, how did we respond? Through Balakot airstrike. So India will do that eventually again and again if required, right? The editorial concludes by saying that the great powers, when they are in a big war, they at times do retreat for strategic advantage. And this is a good example from Britain and Russia example. This is of the Crimean War, and they both retreated because they were seeing an imminent threat in Germany. So therefore, they had a pact with themselves to stop the war. And this is what we see in case of USA also. It has realigned its whole capability, and right now it might seem that it is less reliable. It might seem that USA is less competent, but it is actually unfolding a grand strategy for USA, and India is very well a part of it. This is the first editorial. The second editorial talks about increased level of reforms in the telecom sector. This is from Times of India News, and it says this call won't drop. Now this is indicating at the government reforms where government is given a package to the telecom sector for its survival and development, right? Now telecom sector, I used to speak to my parents and I used to ask them, this revolution has so much changed the way of life. How have you dealt it with? So he says, my father said that earlier we didn't even have phones. There was trunk calls. Right. So in the times of 90s, he was serving in army, and there would be trunk calls and they would try to link for hardly a minute. That was the time. And post that, then we had cordless phones, and after that cell phones. Cell phones did have those times when there was roaming network. So incoming would be free, outgoing would be expensive. And then we had times of portability, number portability. So we could switch to Vodafone only by paying for another SIM card, right? All this has changed. These were government reforms itself. And right now also, these changes are getting reflected. One important change that is going to happen is the consumer. Consumer will get Atmanirbhar because they will not have to go to the shop to get a SIM card. They can be done online and they will receive the SIM card at home, right? They will do the KYC by themselves. This is a good improvement. The second one is moratorium on spectrum payouts and AGR dues. So when government is delaying those kind of pays, which these Vodafone, Airtel, Jio company, they had to give to the government, what is it doing? It is ensuring that the capital remains with this company and they start to reinvest it in the 5G technology, in the unserved areas, in those areas where the service is not at par. So this is going to help who? This is going to help you and I, right? This is the prime advantage of it, right? So the government has also indicated that it will revise the 5G fee payment. So it is a good move for the companies because this revision may be some rebate, right? Not only that, now the 5G technology is going to give us immersive experience. Imagine a scene when you have not gone to the stadium, but you are having the live experience of experiencing a stadium inside your own home. I'm talking of the technology of holographic tele-representation. The teacher, suppose if I am standing in front of you and teaching right now on the screen, imagine one ray and I actually appear on screen and there is an actual 3D image of me. A person can be represented at various places. This is the technology that 5G is offering, that these companies are going to offer, and government is assisting them in this right now. Now, Editorial goes on to say that this kind of revolution is going to change the complete socio-economic setup of our country to the tunes of $450 billion of investment by 2040, right? And the editorial also talks about international khiraris. So there will be 100% FDI in telecom sector now on. This is going to up the ante, up the performance of our innovation in our country. So this is a great achievement, and it will also help in decreasing the digital divide in the country, and it will give us a superlative experience. So this is the second editorial. The third editorial talks about the return of school students after 17 months of long gap, 17 months of study at home. But was it a study at home? We have studied this in one of the feature articles just 3 days back, right? So getting back to the editorial says that there has been a huge impact of the pandemic on the learning of the children, right? Now, earlier, I remember when I was small and I would forget things because there were summer vacations and I would forget things. What has the teacher taught? Just a few weeks after the school opening after summer vacations, we would get back on track. But what happens to a child if they get back on track after 17 months? And I'm not speaking of you and me who are grown-ups. I'm speaking of the small children, preschool children. I'm talking of a child of the age 6 and age 8. These people, these small children, they are only learning ABCD. They're only learning 1 + 2 = 3. And they have, the survey itself says, Azim Zaimji Foundation has done this survey, and it itself says that children have forgotten everything. They are not even able to read the basic text. They are not even able to remember or recite some important essence of the poem they learned. So this is the level at which children are. See, school gives a lot of things. It gives society, it gives the cooperative learning, it gives discipline. This is something that children did not have when they were at home because of the work from home and stay at home economy during COVID times. And this is where editorial says that a lot of important organizations around the world are carrying out survey, and governments are making important changes. They are prioritizing certain skills. They are prioritizing that the children get certain skills. They're prioritizing that the academic calendar be extended, right? So these are important reforms which are required around the country, right? The editorial goes on to say that the small children, the primary school children, they not just learn through instructions, they learn through observation, they learn through dialogue and exploration. And this is what was missed all the time. Therefore, the goal right now is to develop the capacity in those small children. And it should not be done through penal measures. It should not be done in threatening measures, right? The idea should be to motivate the children to get back up. It was not their mistake after all. This is for the primary school. For the children in the upper primary stages, 5 to 8 class, what is the idea? The idea is to start giving them some focus on some particular subject and giving them an integrated learning procedure. But for the students in the higher and secondary levels, the idea is to put them into some vocational training, put them into some places where they can start understanding where they have to get into. So these are the kind of important reforms. What is chiefly required is to give them a motivational environment, to hear their stories, to understand what happened with them during those times, to give them space to speak. And teachers and all the trainers must be patient while the students speak as they come back to schools, right? So this is what the third editorial is about. Now, getting to the last article in news. The last article for today is a beautiful case study for today. This is from Bihar. This is from Samastipur. Now, there are a lot of lowland areas in Bihar, and time and again they get flooded. Yes, that's true. So when they get flooded, people cannot do anything. Why? Because the whole region, it is flooded. They cannot carry out any activity, economic activity. There is increased amount of disease. And this is where the government said that no, we will carry out some activity here. What they did was they covered the whole area through nets. And they started fishing in these areas, right? So Samastipur district, it started fishing. And the best part here is that through fishing, now they have started to breed rohu, katla, those breeds that they used to import, to bring in from Andhra. This has given a lot of hope to the local people, because earlier they were idle, now they are in economic activity. And not just this, they have also started to generate profits, crores and crores of profit from every acre. Lakhs and lakhs of profit from every acre of land. And the government itself is giving subsidy to dig these lands there, so that they can practice this kind of fishing. They have also received training in Andhra Pradesh. And the best part is that there is no caste hierarchy here. Earlier, people of lower caste used to practice fishing. But now, people of higher caste also are practicing fishing. So this is increasing the social mobility in Bihar, a region which is very much downtrodden also because of caste issues. Right? So Bihar has become more independent in terms of its nutrition capacity. People have started to generate income, and it has given social flexibility in the region. The quote for today says, "In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity." Right? This is what Bihar in Samastipur has shown, and this is what you can also show. In the middle of difficulty during COVID times, here is your pre-exam. Here is your opportunity to crack the exam and do really very well. So when the going gets tough, the tougher gets going. In case you like the video, in case you like our effort, do shower some love on us through likes, comments and shares. If you subscribe to the channel, you will receive timely updates. Thanks for watching.